Welcome to Corsica, 1779. Not Paris, not London, not the center of anything that matters, just a small island in the Mediterranean, where history doesn't happen. It passes by. And that's where you begin. You're born into something people call nobility. Sounds powerful, right? It isn't, because in your world, noble doesn't mean rich. It doesn't mean influential. It doesn't mean respected. It just means your family used to matter. A long time ago. Now it's just a word, a label, a reminder of what you're not anymore. People expect elegance, they expect wealth, they expect control. But when they see your home, they pause. Stone walls, worn furniture, nothing impressive, no servants, no luxury, no sign of power, just survival. You grow up understanding something most children never do. Status without resources is useless. You have a title, but no leverage. You're one of 8 children, which means from the very beginning, you are not the center of attention. You are part of a system. Food must be divided. Time must be divided. Care must be divided. Nothing is abundant. Everything is shared. Your father is a lawyer. At least that's what people say. But reality is different. He's constantly in conflict, fighting over land, arguing over ownership, trying to prove things in a system that doesn't favor him. And most of the time, he loses. You see it. The frustration, the exhaustion, the quiet disappointment after every failed case. No dramatic breakdown, just silence. The kind of silence that teaches you something without saying a word. The world is not fair. And effort alone doesn't change that. If you watch him try again and again and again. And slowly, you start asking yourself a question most kids don't ask. If effort isn't enough, then what is? The outsider in France. Age 15 to 18. Net worth $0. Eventually, a decision is made. You're sent to France, military school, on a scholarship. And for a moment, it feels like opportunity. Like maybe this is your way out. But the moment you arrive, you understand something instantly. You didn't enter a new world. You entered someone else's, and you don't belong here. Everything feels different. The language, the culture, the people, especially the people. They are everything you're not. Rich, confident, comfortable. They don't think about money. They don't worry about survival. They've never had to fight for basic respect because they were born with it. You weren't. You feel it immediately in the way they look at you, in the way they talk around you, in the way they ignore you. You're not one of them. You're the scholarship kid, which is just a polite way of saying you're here, but you don't belong. And then there's your accent. Every time you speak, you feel it. Words don't come out clean. They hesitate, they twist, they sound different. And that difference becomes visible, noticeable, then amusing. Not to you, to them. At first, it's subtle, a smile, a glance, a quiet laugh. But over time, it grows. Because once people decide you're different, they start defining you by it. And then comes something even smaller, but somehow more damaging. Your height. You're not tall, not imposing, not physically intimidating. In a world where presence matters, you don't stand out. You get overlooked. And people notice. They start making comments, jokes, small ones at first, then sharper, more direct. The little Corsican, the island boy, the short one. They don't say it with hatred. They say it casually, like it's obvious, like it's fact. And that's what makes it worse, because to them, it is. You start to realize something uncomfortable. In this world, perception is reality. And right now, you are not impressive. You walk into rooms, and no one pays attention. You speak, and no one takes you seriously. You exist, but you don't register. And that does something to you. Not immediately, but slowly, quietly. Every ignored moment, every small laugh, every dismissive glance adds weight, until one day you feel it. Not anger, not yet. Something else. Pressure. Breaking point. Age 17 to 20. Net worth $0. At first, you try to adapt. You really do. You try to fix your accent. You try to speak slower, clearer, better. You listen carefully. Repeat words in your head. Practice sentences before saying them out loud. Because maybe, just maybe, if you sound like them, they'll accept you. But they don't. Because the truth is, this was never about language. It was about status. And that's something you can't fake. So you try something else. You observe them. How they walk, how they talk, how they carry themselves. You try to mirror it, adjust your posture, your tone, your behavior, but it still doesn't work. Because they don't see effort. They see difference. And once people label you, they stop updating their opinion, no matter what you do. So slowly, you stop trying. Not all at once, not dramatically, just less. You speak less, you engage less, you react less. Until one day, you realize something. You've become invisible. You're in the room, but not part of it. You sit at the table, but not included. You exist in the same space, but in a different world. And strangely, that changes everything. Because when no one is watching you, You are free. Free from judgment, free from expectation, free from performance. At first, it feels like loss, like you've been pushed out, but then it starts to feel like space, silence, control. You begin to spend more time alone. Not because you have to, because you choose to. You stop going where they go. Stop trying to join conversations. Stop waiting for approval. Instead, you retreat, not physically, mentally. You begin thinking more, observing more, analyzing everything: people, behavior, systems, patterns. You notice things others don't. How certain students rely on confidence instead of competence. How they speak loudly but say nothing. How they assume they'll win without ever preparing. And for the first time, you see it clearly: they are not better than you. They're just more comfortable. And comfort is not power. The library and the weapon. At night, everything changes. The academy becomes quiet, empty, still. And while everyone else is living, laughing, drinking, talking about things that don't matter, you go somewhere else. The library. At first, it's just a place to escape. A place where no one looks at you, no one judges you, no one reminds you of what you're not. But slowly, it becomes something more. A place of control. You sit alone, surrounded by books, history, war, empires, strategy. At first, you read, then you study. Then, you start understanding not just what happened, but why it happened. You begin to see patterns. Why certain armies win, why others collapse, why leaders succeed, why they fail. And the deeper you go, the more something inside you shifts. You stop seeing war as chaos. You start seeing it as structure, angles, timing, positioning. Everything becomes measurable, predictable, controllable. And that realization, Nishit, is dangerous because now you're not just learning, you're preparing. While others sleep, you calculate. While others joke, you build. While others rely on status, you build skill. Day after day, night after night. No applause, no recognition, no validation, just progress. Silent, invisible, relentless. And something else changes too. Your mindset. You stop caring about being liked, stop caring about fitting in. Stop caring about proving yourself to people who already made up their minds, because you've realized something bigger. Respect given freely is weak. Respect taken through power is permanent. You begin thinking long term, not about tomorrow, not about next week, but years ahead. You start asking different questions. What do they not see? What are they ignoring? What can I master that they never will? And the answer becomes clear. Discipline, focus, precision. You begin to build something inside you that no one can take away. Not money, not status, not opinion. Skill, real skill. The kind that doesn't need approval, the kind that proves itself. And slowly, very slowly, the same things they mocked you for, your silence, your isolation, your difference, start becoming advantages. Because while they were living comfortably, you were transforming. Not loudly, not visibly, but completely. And one night, sitting alone in that library, you finally understand something. You were never meant to fit into their world. You were meant to outgrow it. The starving captain. Age, 20 to 23. Net worth, $1,500 a year. Reality doesn't wait for you to be ready. It hits when it wants, and for you, it hits hard. Your father dies. No warning, no preparation, no safety net. Just gone. And in that moment, everything changes, not emotionally, practically. Because now you're responsible, not just for yourself, for your entire family, your mother, your siblings, their survival. All of it falls on you, and you're not ready. But that doesn't matter, because responsibility doesn't care if you're ready. It just arrives. You're now a young officer, an artillery captain, which sounds important. Until you look at your salary, $1,500 a year, barely enough for one person, and now you're supporting many. So you start making decisions. You cut your own expenses, you eat less, you skip meals, you wear the same uniform until it no longer looks like something an officer should wear. But you don't replace it because you can't. Your room is small, cold, almost empty. No comfort, no luxury, no distraction, just space and silence. Meanwhile, a Paris exists, a different world, full of elites, perfect clothes, perfect manners, perfect lives. They walk into rooms and people listen. You walk into rooms and people barely notice. They look at you and see nothing impressive. Still the outsider, still the short Corsican, still the one who doesn't quite fit. And you feel it. Every glance, every dismissal, every quiet judgment. But this time, it hits differently. Because now, you don't have time to care. You don't have the luxury of insecurity. You have responsibility. So instead of reacting, you focus. You double down on what you already started. Artillery, mathematics, precision. You go deeper than anyone else. You study angles, distances, timing. You calculate trajectories in your head over and over and over again until it becomes instinct, until it becomes automatic. until it becomes you. While others chase status, you chase mastery. While they build connections, you build competence. While they try to look powerful, you become it. And still no one notices. Not yet, because the world doesn't reward preparation. It rewards results, and you haven't shown yours yet, but you will. The moment before the storm. Age 23 to 24. By now, you've changed. Not on the outside. People still see the same person, same height, same accent, same background, same assumptions. But inside, everything is different. You think faster, see clearer, decide quicker. You've trained your mind in silence, without validation, without recognition. And that does something powerful. You stop needing approval, you stop needing permission, you stop waiting. Because now you understand something most people never do. Opportunity doesn't come to the loudest person, it comes to the prepared one, and you are prepared, more than anyone realizes. France, meanwhile, is falling apart. Revolution, chaos, confusion. Power is shifting constantly. Leaders are uncertain, decisions are slow. Mistakes are everywhere. And in chaos, there is always opportunity, but only for those who can see it. Most people panic, they freeze, they react emotionally. But you observe calmly, carefully, strategically, because this is the moment you've been preparing for. Not consciously, but completely. Everything you've been through, the isolation, the mockery, the struggle, the hunger, the discipline, was building toward this. You don't say it out loud, you don't announce it. But deep inside, you know, your time is coming. Not because the world chose you, but because you built yourself for it. And when the moment arrives, you won't hesitate. You won't doubt. You won't ask for permission. You'll act. Because that's the difference between you and everyone who ever underestimated you. They were waiting. You were preparing. And then it finally happens. The moment. Not planned. Not announced, but inevitable. France is in chaos. Revolution has broken everything. Power is unstable. Leadership is weak. Decisions are slow. And in the middle of all that, Toulon falls, a major port, strategic, critical, and now controlled by the British, one of the strongest empires in the world. For France, this isn't just a loss, it's humiliation. The government panics. Generals are confused. Plans are unclear. Everyone is reacting. No one is thinking. And that's where you enter. Quietly. No grand entrance, no recognition. Just another officer. Still unknown, still underestimated, still overlooked. You observe the situation, the defenses, the positioning, the mistakes, and within minutes, you see it. Clearly, what no one else sees. This isn't a problem of bravery, it's a problem of strategy. The current plan? Useless. Direct attacks? Wasted lives? No coordination. Then, finally, you say it. Calmly, directly. They're doing it wrong. At first, no one listens. Why would they? You're young, short, unknown. But you don't argue, you prove. You explain positions, you point out weak spots, you show outcomes. And slowly, attention shifts. Not because of who you are, but because of what you know. You're given control of the artillery, and this is your moment. Not to try, not to experiment, to execute. You reposition the cannons, not randomly, precisely. Every movement calculated, every angle intentional, every shot planned. And then you fire. Not chaos, not noise, precision. The British positions weaken, then break, then collapse. Their fleet, under pressure, retreats. The battle shifts. Victory becomes inevitable. And in a matter of days, it's over. France wins. And suddenly, everyone is asking the same question. Who did this? And the answer is you. The same person they ignored. The same person they underestimated. In one moment, everything changes. You're promoted. Captain to brigadier general. Just like that. Years of hierarchy skipped. Because results don't wait for permission. And for the first time, France sees you, not as the outsider, not as the short Corsican, but as something else, something dangerous, something effective. And somewhere, quietly, Europe takes notice. Age 26. Net worth $50,000. Victory changes things, but not everything. Because power, once seen, is demanded again. Paris is unstable. Again. Chaos never really left. It just moved. Now, a new threat rises. A royalist uprising, tens of thousands. Angry, organized, moving toward the government. 30,000 people, marching, and the government, terrified. They've seen what happens when control is lost. They don't want another collapse, so they look for someone who can act. Not hesitate, not negotiate. Act. And they choose you. The same man who solved Toulon. Now they want you to save Paris. No time to think. No time to debate. Just a decision. Do you act or do you fail? You don't hesitate. Because you already know the answer. You don't prepare speeches. You don't try to reason with the crowd. You don't wait for approval. You prepare the artillery. In the streets of Paris, civilians, buildings, history, all around you. And still, you make the decision. Because you understand something others don't. If you hesitate now, everything collapses. The crowd advances closer, louder, more aggressive, and then you give the order. Grape shot, the cannons fire. Explosive fragments spread through the streets. The charge breaks, momentum dies, panic spreads. In minutes, it's over. The uprising ends, not through negotiation, not through compromise, through force, decisive, final, and Paris is saved. But not everyone celebrates. Because now they see you differently. Some call you a hero, others call you a monster, cold, ruthless, unforgiving. And maybe they're right, but here's what matters. You were effective. And in moments like this, effectiveness is power. You are rewarded. Money, recognition, command. The army of Italy is now yours, and more importantly, your reputation changes. You are no longer ignored, no longer overlooked, no longer underestimated. Now, you are watched. Because people have realized something. You don't hesitate. You don't doubt. You don't ask. You act. And in a world full of hesitation, that makes you dangerous. The system update, the code, age 36 to 42, net worth incalculable, from the ignored outsider to the most powerful man in Europe. But here's the truth most people don't understand. Winning battles isn't the same as winning history. War gives you territory, but only temporarily. Because land can be taken, armies can be defeated, power can be challenged. But systems? Systems last. And you realize that. Clearly, calmly, completely. Because you've studied history, you've seen it happen. Empires rise and fall, again and again and again. But the ideas they leave behind, those survive. So you make a decision. You won't just conquer Europe. You will redesign it. Not with cannons, with laws. You begin working on something bigger than war, a code, a system, a structure, something that doesn't depend on you being alive, something that continues even when you're gone. The Napoleonic Code. And this is your most dangerous move. Because you're not just changing rules, you're deleting them. The old system, built on birth, on titles, on privilege. If you were born into power, you had it. If you weren't, you never would. Simple, unfair, stable, and you break it completely. You introduce something radical. Merit, ability, effort. Suddenly, it doesn't matter where you come from. It matters what you can do, and that changes everything. Common people begin to feel something new. Possibility, access, movement. They're no longer just surviving, they're participating because you've just destroyed their advantage. Their pay-to-win system is gone. Meanwhile, you keep building roads, bridges, institutions, the Bank of France, education systems, infrastructure. You're not just ruling, you're engineering society. And while all of this is happening, war continues because the rest of Europe is terrified. They don't just see a conqueror, they see a disruptor, someone who doesn't follow rules and doesn't respect tradition. So they unite. Against you, Austria, Russia, Britain, all watching, all waiting, all planning. And then Austerlitz, your masterpiece. They outnumber you. They think they've trapped you. They think this is where you fall. But you've already calculated everything. Terrain, fog, timing. You let them think they're winning. You let them move forward. And then you strike. Perfectly. Decisively. Brutally. In hours, it's over. 2 emperors defeated, humbled, broken. And now there's no debate, no doubt, no question. You are the most powerful man in Europe. Not by title, by ability. And the entire continent knows it. But here's the problem with power. It attracts resistance. The stronger you become, the more people unite against you. Change. And the system always fights back. Always. At first, you keep winning, again and again and again. But then something shifts. Subtle at first, then undeniable. You begin to stretch too far, too fast, too wide. Europe wasn't enough. So you look east. Russia, big, cold, unforgiving. You've beaten empires before, so you expect another victory. But this time, it's different. Distance, weather, supply lines. Everything works against you. And for the first time in years, your system fails. Not completely, but enough. Your army weakens. Not from battle, from survival. Cold, hunger, exhaustion. The same things you once overcame now surround you. And slowly, you lose control. The campaign collapses. You retreat, not as a conqueror, but as someone trying to survive. And from that moment, everything changes. Your enemies see weakness, and they move together relentlessly. And then Waterloo, the final moment, the last chance. You've been here before, outnumbered, underdog, calculated. But this time, something is different. Timing is off. Decisions aren't perfect. The system you built finally breaks. And when it does, it's final. You lose. Not a battle, everything. You are captured. Stripped of power, stripped of control, stripped of identity. They don't call you emperor anymore, they call you general, like nothing ever happened, like everything you built didn't matter. You were exiled, far away, St. Helena, a rock in the middle of the ocean, no armies, no strategy, no power, just time. Time to think, time to remember, time to realize something strange. You lost the war. But you didn't lose everything, because while they removed you, they couldn't remove your ideas. Your system is still running. Across countries, across governments, across generations, the rules changed because of you, and that can't be undone. You die in 1821, alone, looking out at the sea, and the world believes it's over, that order has been restored, that the old system is safe again, but they're wrong. Because something irreversible happened. A poor, short, ignored outsider from a forgotten island rose and defeated kings. Not because of birth, not because of luck, but because of mind, discipline, and timing. You didn't just play the game, you proved it could be beaten. And now, the real question is, are you still playing by the rules? Or are you rewriting them?